How does a normal school morning turn into the day you learn what evil really looks like? How does a man slowly convince himself he's losing his mind, only to discover something far worse than insanity? Two different stories, two different neighborhoods, but both prove the same terrifying truth. Sometimes the worst things in life don't look dangerous at first. Sometimes they look normal, and by the time you realize something is wrong, it's already too late. When I was in 4th grade, our class had something called buddy time. Once a week, we'd leave our classroom and walk down the hall to help 1st graders learn how to read and write. It made us feel important, grown up, like mentors. My buddy was a 6-year-old boy named Cameron Bell. Blonde hair, quiet, shy smile. He didn't talk much, but he loved drawing angry birds. Every single week, no matter what the assignment was, there would be an angry bird somewhere on the page. In the corner, on the back, next to his messy spelling words. His handwriting was chaotic, letters floating above the lines, backward S's, random capital letters. But he tried, and every time he got something right, he'd look up at me like he'd just won an award. That smile, I can still see it. Then one morning, everything felt wrong. I walked into class and my teacher was crying. Not just teary-eyed, crying. And there was a police officer standing near her desk. No one understood what was happening. We sat down, the bell rang, and in a shaky voice, she told us that due to an unfortunate series of events, Cameron had passed away. That was it. No details, no explanation, just silence. The room didn't even know how to react. We were 10 years old. We didn't understand death the way adults do. After school, I ran home and asked my parents what happened. That's when I learned the truth. Cameron's mother had died years before, and that morning, his father had taken him to a nearby church, shot him in the head, and then shot himself. Just like that. A 6-year-old boy who couldn't even spell properly yet. Gone. Because of a decision he didn't understand. I remember sitting on my bed and staring at the wall, trying to process how someone who drew cartoon birds just days before could suddenly not exist anymore. It's been 9 years, and I still think about him. I still picture his messy handwriting, his crooked letters, his proud little smile, the innocence that was stolen. Sometimes tragedy isn't loud. It doesn't come with warning signs. Sometimes it's just a quiet boy in the front row, drawing angry birds. And then one morning, he isn't there. But here's the thing about trauma. It doesn't just disappear. It stays. And sometimes, it changes the way you see the world forever. Which brings me to another story. Because sometimes the danger isn't sudden. Sometimes it whispers. The first story was about a life taken in an instant. The second one, it's about something that slowly made a man question his sanity, before revealing something far more disturbing. A friend of mine had a neighbor, retired mechanic, lived alone, big property, long driveway, wide front lawn. Near his garage sat a few old, beat-up cars he used for spare parts. One of them was an old conversion van, the kind that hasn't moved in years. One evening, while sitting in his living room, he heard something, a noise, out in the front yard. He walked to the window. Nothing. Probably a raccoon, he thought, or a coyote. The next night, he heard it again. He went outside, checked around the yard. Nothing. This went on for weeks. Strange noises, movement. But every time he looked, silence. Then it got worse. He started hearing whispers, actual voices, low, muffled, like people talking just out of sight. He searched the perimeter of his property. Nothing. He set traps, sometimes caught animals. But the voices didn't stop. He started calling the police. They'd come, flashlights out, search everything. Nothing. Eventually, they told him to stop calling unless he had proof. Maybe install cameras. Maybe talk to someone. You can imagine how that feels. Hearing voices, and no one else can hear them. He genuinely started to think he was losing his mind. One summer night, he couldn't sleep. So he went outside to his back patio to smoke a cigarette. The air was still, quiet. And then, voices, clearer than ever, coming from the front of the house. He froze, put the cigarette out, and quietly walked around the side of his house. He got to the front yard, just in time to see the doors of his old, derelict conversion van slowly shut, by themselves. No engine, no lights, just doors, closing. He didn't confront whoever was inside. He ran to the backyard, went inside, locked the door, and called the police. This time, they came quietly. No sirens. No flashing lights. They approached the van slowly. The moment they got close, the doors flew open, and people ran out in every direction. Multiple people. They had been hiding inside the van, using it. Inside, police found syringes, drug paraphernalia, evidence that people had been breaking into his property and using that van as a hidden spot to shoot up. All those nights, all those whispers, all those times he thought he was going insane. He wasn't. The danger was real. It was just hidden in plain sight, right there in his yard. Two completely different stories. One about a child who never got the chance to grow up. The other about a man who thought he was losing his mind. But they share something chilling. In both stories, the signs were quiet, subtle, almost invisible. A silent little boy, a faint whisper in the yard. Sometimes the most life-changing moments don't look dramatic. They look ordinary. And that's what makes them terrifying. Cameron's story reminds us how fragile innocence is. The neighbor's story reminds us that sometimes your instincts are right. And the scariest part? You never know which ordinary day is about to become the one you remember forever. So hold the people you care about a little closer. Pay attention to the things that don't quite feel right. Because sometimes, the quietest moments hide the loudest truths.